Hello, everyone, and come on in. Welcome to Getting Started with Web3 dApp Development. Hello, all, and come on in. I'm going to wait for everyone to enter our webinar tonight. Hello, hello. Please drop a hi in the chat. Glad to see some of you joining here live on Circle. Welcome to our webinar, Getting Started with Web3 dApp Development here at Lumiwealth. So as you come in, just let me know if you can hear me and see our slides for tonight. I can also drop a link to the slides in the chat. If you'd like to download them or just save them for future reading, then they are on Google Slides. So check out the chat for that link. Tonight, we're talking all about the Web3 development course coming to you this spring. So I'll drop the link in the chat to the actual course. Tonight, we're doing a preview of the course, giving you a bit of a taste of what the course is about, what are some of these topics that we will learn in the course, and the projects that we will build. So come on in, everyone. Hope you can hear and see me well tonight. My name is Alexandra, and I will be your webinar host tonight. I'm also the instructor of the course. So any questions you have, you can ask me anytime tonight. And of course, you can always message me on Circle too. So tonight, let's talk about the agenda for what we're going to do tonight. First, we'll introduce Lumiwealth, talk a bit about what we're doing here, and then we'll dive into 4 main topics when it comes to this Web3 course. This includes web development, decentralized app development, and Web3, as well as some sample projects. So we're going to debunk what are some of these terms like dApps, Web3, what does it mean, and how can you get started building some of these projects in the Web3 space. Tomorrow, we also have a webinar on blockchain programming, which is all about the actual blockchain side to the whole ecosystem. But tonight, we're covering specifically the Web3 dApp space. So similar topics tomorrow because they are in the same field, but distinct categories. And if you have any questions, you can ask anytime, or at the end of the webinar, we'll save some special time as well. So first, let's get to know some of you watching with me live. That way I can tailor the webinar to your level of expertise. So if you feel brave, then please type out in the chat and let me know, what is your current job? Do you know how to code? And how much experience do you have in any of these topics, like web development or blockchain? Let me know, that way I can make sure to tailor tonight's webinar for our live audience. Usually I expect my watchers, my viewers, and my students to be complete beginners. That's most of the students. Usually they don't have any experience. So if you don't have any experience, that's totally fine and expected. We will tailor the course to the students in it. So if we get a higher level of students this spring for the Web3 course, then we will tailor the course to a higher level. But usually our students are complete beginners, and so we teach programming Web3 from scratch in the 10 weeks of this course. My name is Alexandra, and I am an instructor here at Lumiwealth in Web3, as well as blockchain programming, which we're promoting tomorrow, as well as a machine learning course that we're starting in the spring. And I'm also a software developer at Mammoth Interactive. We've been teaching here these blockchain courses for about a year now at Lumiwealth. So I'm excited to bring it back this spring for another round. So we already have a whole year's worth of videos that you can watch back. And in the spring, we'll have another live session. We will be posting this recording on Circle and on YouTube. So please subscribe to us on YouTube so you can watch back. And we also post other tutorials, like short form tutorials and reviews from students, interviews. So check out our YouTube channel. Just search up Lumiwealth on YouTube and you can find all of this stuff to watch. And we, of course, are on Circle. If you're watching live, then you'll know that, our online community. We also still have Discord, but circle is our main community channel. But if you want to find us on Discord, you can still find us there. Just check out the link that I put into the chat if you're interested. Okay, without further ado, that's a bit about us. Now let's dive into our first topic. So tonight we're going to talk about what is Web3 and dApp development. So I'm going to start off by showing you a project example of one of the projects from the course. That way you can visually see a dApp in action. And don't worry if you don't understand everything that's going on, because we'll break it down step by step. But this is just to give you a bit of a preview. So here, I'll play this video. This is an example of a simple website that we will build together at one point in our course. So let me just make it full screen again. So it is one example of a project where you have a very minimal website. So keeping it simple at the beginning. And this is a token marketplace where we have a website. The website is allowing any visitor, so any audience, whoever wants to come to the website, they just go to the URL. And the website acts as an interface or a window that allows you as the visitor to communicate or interact with a blockchain. This could be Ethereum, Cardano, Solana. Tons of blockchains out there allow for this kind of connection where you can take a website and you can connect it to the blockchain. So in this case, the website is allowing you to mint new tokens, specifically non-fungible tokens or NFTs. So minting means creating. So the website allows visitors to come and create NFTs on the website. The website is not storing the NFTs. Instead, all the creation, all the storage is done on the blockchain of choice, in this case, Ethereum. The website is just like the middle party that allows anyone to come and quickly and easily interact with the blockchain. For example, if you wanted to create an NFT or purchase one, or if you wanted to create a new cryptocurrency token, or if you wanted to interact with some business or organization on the blockchain, like if you wanted to interact with a bank that was on the blockchain, or you wanted to interact with a video game that has some functionality stored on the blockchain, or if you wanted to buy an online course and the school was running on the blockchain. So in this course of 10 weeks coming this spring, we'll teach you how to build these kinds of projects where you have a website, and the website's role is to allow a large audience to interact with a blockchain and some system on the blockchain. This could be an NFT, it could be a coin, it could be a whole business, it could be a video game, it could be some algorithm, whatever code, because it's all going to be code, whatever code is on a blockchain. Because otherwise, if you wanted to interact with a smart contract, which means some code, some process on the blockchain, you'd have to use programming, you'd have to have some higher level of experience to interact with the blockchain. And if you're starting your own company or you want to build some project, you want to get a large audience. You don't want an audience of programmers or an audience of high level, high expertise people, because that would limit your audience pool. So that's the whole point of dApps, is to make it accessible for a large audience to interact with whatever you have on the blockchain. So in tomorrow's webinar, we talk more about what's on the blockchain itself, like all those smart contracts and the systems that can live on the blockchain. Like in this case, the system in this example is the NFT. The NFT contract or code that allows for the creation of new tokens. And then also the buying, the selling, the customization, whatever is the NFT contract, what is the code. Each one can vary and you can make yours whatever you want, highly customizable. So tomorrow we talk more about what lives on the blockchain. But tonight we talk about what is that bridge between a large audience and the blockchain. How can you make an app or a website or any piece of software, any piece of code that can be that gap, bridge that gap? So your app or your website, in this example, your website is like the funnel, sending an audience from the web or from their mobile phone and from the app and sending them to the blockchain. So a very powerful technology because you can get a large audience and make it accessible to take something on the blockchain and make it easy for the whole world to use. They don't need to go directly to the blockchain. They don't need to have that understanding or high level of experience to actually code or work with the blockchain directly, which requires knowledge of coding. Instead, you just build a website where users can just click and mindlessly scroll around. They don't have to have that high level of experience. So in this example, we use here what's known as a cryptocurrency wallet in the browser to sign the transactions. So what does that mean? Well, everything that happens on a blockchain that affects the blockchain, that changes it, it has to be signed. It cannot be done anonymously. You have to sign it, which means you have to kind of put your signature on it through your cryptocurrency wallet. And if you have a dApp or a website, the way to do that signing is through this example, a browser extension that stores your wallet. So this makes it possible for you to actually change the blockchain through the website. Otherwise, I'd have to go directly to the blockchain and start to do some changes, like creating a new token is what's happening here. But with the app, I can just click a button on the website and then confirm to allow my wallet to sign the transaction, kind of like when you buy something and you sign off on it. Same idea here. In this case, I'm going to be creating a new token on the blockchain and I'm just signing that transaction. So we use this browser extension if we're on the web. Most common way to do the signing is to use this browser extension. And then once you do the signing, the transaction can go through. It will either fail if there's not enough funds or if it's found to be invalid, or it will go through and it will actually change something on the blockchain. And it was all done through the web. So in this case, we have a token minted, a blue token. And so we'll see it pop up under my minted tokens. And then the owner is the person that created the token. So the website's job was to get some trigger from a website visitor. Someone came to the website and they decided they want to mint a token. So they triggered the website. The website doesn't actually do any of the work. Instead, it interacts or calls the blockchain to do the work. The blockchain will do the work and then send the response. And the website will show the user the response. In this case, the response is this blue created token. And just verifying the owner, and you could show more information about it too. It's all up to you. It's all up to what kind of website you want to make. So that's what we're learning in this 10 weeks of this Web3 course, how to build these kinds of websites. So very exciting projects, quite a new field. This possibility of building these kinds of websites really only started back in 2015 with the invention of the Ethereum blockchain, which allowed for the opportunity of building complex systems on blockchains like these NFTs or really any kind of functionality, any kind of code that you want to run over the blockchain. So relatively new technology and very exciting projects that you can create. This is a simple example, but of course your websites, your apps, they can get as complex as you want. It all depends on what do you want to show from the blockchain on your website, or what do you want to communicate with? Because there's tons of smart contracts on the blockchain, on different blockchains even. I'd say probably millions, tens of millions by now perhaps even more. There's tons of smart contracts that you can interact with. And so that means a huge variety of dApps that you can make. So this is just one example of a dApp. Tomorrow, we'll talk more about how can you put things onto the blockchain, because then you could connect your own blockchain project with your own website. So you have more control over the whole project in that case, because you have the blockchain side and the website is talking to your blockchain project. So you have two projects talking together. But you don't have to do it like that. You could just have a website that talks to contracts that other people made, like OpenSea, which is a marketplace for NFTs. You know, that website is just getting data from the blockchain about all the NFTs out there. The website isn't necessarily communicating with its own NFT. So same thing with your project. You could have a website that shows all the banks on the blockchain or all the schools on the blockchain. You don't have to create the code on the blockchain yourself. It all depends on what kind of project you want to make. So any questions about this project so far? This is one example of what we will build in our course. I'm going to next talk more in detail about how all of this works. That was a visual that we can see and maybe we understand a bit. But now let's talk more about the technicalities of how does this actually work behind the scenes? How do I make this? That's what we'll talk about next. Okay, Blake says so far so good. All right, very good. Happy to hear it. So let's talk about the first step to building this kind of project. The first step to building a Web3 dApp, which we'll break down even more later on. But the first step is to just build a regular app or a regular website. Whatever window or whatever interface you choose. Do you choose a website? Do you choose a desktop app? Do you choose a mobile app? Do you want to have an iPad app? What kind of app do you want? That's the first step. So in this example, the app is just a website with a URL. That is the app. That's the first step to creating a dApp. Then after that, you start to do the connection to the blockchain. But first, you have to actually just build the app itself. And this follows the same process of any other app, any other website or mobile app out there or web app. Those follow the same exact principles, the same code. So first up in our course, we're going to learn how do we just build a regular app, like a regular website, because you have to know how to do that before you can start to add the connection to the blockchain. It's kind of like building the skeleton or the base, and then the connection to the blockchain is just an extra layer on top. So if you already know how to build a website or how to build an app or how to build a game, whatever you're connecting to the blockchain, if you already know how to build something, that's going to give you a leg up because you already have that foundation. But if you don't already know, that is fine, because we will teach you from scratch in these 10 weeks, specifically focused on web development. But the same principles can be applied for any kind of app. It could be a video game or it could be a mobile app. So first, we'll learn how to just build that base, which will require us to learn four main tools, which are known as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React.js. These are four tools that are very popular just for web development in general, just building a regular website like this one right here, or Lumiwealth.com, or even YouTube, just a regular site. So this will allow us to build the base foundation of our dApp. HTML is a markup language used to outline all of the elements on the page. First, we will learn HTML just in week 1. And that is to outline, what do you want on your app? Do you want a title? Do you want images? Do you want buttons? Do you want a form? Do you want 100 pages? What do you want on the application? Do you want users to log in, or are you just doing logins through the crypto wallet? You have to outline what do you want on your app. And this all depends on what you're building. If I'm building an app to show my online school where the school functionality is all living on the blockchain, well, that's going to be a different app. It's going to look different from something else, like something like YouTube. That looks very different from an online school. So we use HTML to build out what exactly is the app going to contain. What is it going to show? Is it going to show videos that live on the blockchain? Or is it going to allow users to mint NFTs? Or is it going to show some online school? What is the point? So HTML is for that. And then CSS is for adding styling. Because HTML, if you just build a website with HTML, it's not going to look very pretty. It's going to look quite old-fashioned, old style. So we use CSS to apply some styling, make the website look nicer. If YouTube was built with just HTML, well, it wouldn't have the fancy fonts, wouldn't have this nice padding, this outline, this drop-down menu. It would look a lot worse. So the whole point of CSS is to make your websites look better, because these days, modern audiences, they expect a nice looking website. So we will cover CSS briefly in week 1. And these two tools are quite fundamental to any beginner web designer. They will always start with HTML and CSS. And as a dApp developer, your job will depend on your project. If you want to build a dApp as your startup, well, you're going to have to likely work on all of this on your own, at least at the beginning. So you will have to build the website, you'll have to give it some nice styling, you'll have to connect it to the blockchain, you'll have to make it work, you'll have to put it on the web. So in that case, you would have to know all of these different tools. But if you're working at a large company as a dApp developer, maybe you have a very specific role, like you are just working on the development of these crypto wallets as browser extensions. So it all depends on what project you're working on, what your job is, which of these aspects you have to know in depth. But for all of us, we have to at least know them at some base level. We have to understand how a website is set up, how to add some simple styling to it, how to add functionality to it, how to make it work. We have to understand all this at least a base level, because they all work together. If I go to my dApp and I need to change some aspect of it, I have to know what I'm looking at in terms of the code or whatever files are used to create the website. Because a website is just a folder with a bunch of files. This could be HTML files, CSS files, JavaScript files, image files, video files. But essentially, that's all a website is. So regardless of what your role is or what your job is on your team, you have to have some understanding of the whole system as a whole, because otherwise you'll get lost quite quickly. So that's why we need to learn how to set up the structure of our site. In our courses, we focus on building projects from scratch. So we will actually build websites like this from scratch, which means you don't start with some template. Instead, you start from absolutely nothing. The whole point of that is to make sure you understand how everything works at a base level. Because if I just gave you this project and told you to change something on it, yes, that would be a good challenge, but you'd probably not understand everything that you were doing. So if you build a project from scratch, you really have complete control and complete understanding over it, because you've built out every single aspect of it. So that's why we prioritize building projects from scratch. So week 1, we will cover HTML and CSS. Then we'll dive into JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language, and also called a coding language, software development language. And this allows you to actually build functionality in your websites. If you have just HTML and just CSS, yes, you can create a website. But this would be a website that is like a landing page or a promotional page. It can't actually do anything. So you might as well just make a brochure or an image and just email that around. But if you want to actually add functionality, we need JavaScript. So we will learn how to code in JavaScript from scratch because it is the #1 language for the web. About 99% of websites use JavaScript. And so it really runs the web. It runs functionality. Anything that is interactive on the web. Buttons that you press when you log in, when you type out some text and then send it, when you want to watch a video, all of that is run with JavaScript. It's like the language that tells your computer or your browser, to be more specific, JavaScript tells your browser what the user wants, what they want to see, what they want to do. For example, here, when I go to the page and I want to click this button to mint some token, the only way I can trigger that sequence of events is through JavaScript. The website user doesn't have to know any JavaScript. It's all behind the scenes. As the developers, we have to know JavaScript to write all the functionality, to make it work. Because with HTML and CSS, it's like we just create the parts of the robot. But with JavaScript, we actually teach the robot how to move around, how to do some action. And so we need these 3 tools working together. And for example, here, when you display this information from the blockchain, when you display this NFT right here, blue, and then the owner, this is NFT data from the blockchain. In order to show that, we need JavaScript. JavaScript is the language that's doing the work through scripts. So we write a script, also called an algorithm, and a script, it just is a process. It says what you want to happen, but you cannot write it in English. You have to write it with a coding language like JavaScript, the most popular one for the web. And so the JavaScript will actually say, when the user has created the token, show the user the token on the website. And the JavaScript is doing the connection. It's reaching out to Ethereum and then showing the data from Ethereum on the website. So very powerful language, and we must learn it if we want to build dApps for the web. So in this course, we do focus on dApps for the web, but you can follow the same principles for building a video game that's a dApp or a mobile app that connects to the blockchain. It's all the same principles and ideas. It would just be the languages that are different. So JavaScript is specifically for the web. If you wanted to go for something like a video game, then you might use C#. If it's not a web game, if you're building a mobile app, you might use Java or Kotlin or Swift, but they're all still programming languages. So they all still follow the same rules about programming. It's just the details of how they work. That's where it's going to be different. But JavaScript is a great place to start if you've never programmed before. JavaScript is one of the easier languages to pick up, and you can see results really quickly. So it's a very visual way to learn. So that's why we chose JavaScript for the focus of this course. JavaScript also has the most support for interacting with blockchains. That's also a big reason why we picked JavaScript. If you want to build a dApp, the easiest way right now is with JavaScript. It has the most support for it. And of course, if you build a website, you can easily put it onto mobile as well by wrapping it for mobile. So don't get scared away by the website part. You can easily transform it into a mobile app. Another tool, last one here for general web development, is called React. React is a library built with JavaScript, and this means that it's a set of files that were created in JavaScript to help you build your websites faster. And the library is built for a specific purpose. React is a very popular library, actually first built and still managed by Facebook, but it is open source, which means it's publicly available to use, free to use, and anyone can work on it to propose changes to it, to this library. The whole point of React is to organize complex websites. So if you just use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, yes, you can build a website, but if you want to build something more complex, something like YouTube, which has a lot of different parts, a lot of moving parts to it, then you use React to help you organize your websites. So these are 4 tools very popular in general web development that we will have to learn in our 10 weeks. So we start by learning web development tools. Then, once we have an understanding of web development, we can jump into adding the blockchain layer on top. So web developers have a leg up because they already have some base knowledge. And all they have to do is add a decentralized layer or a decentralized section to their code. So let's get into dApps and how they work next. So this website example is a dApp because it is an application that has a decentralized layer. That's what dApp stands for, is decentralized application. So first we'll learn how to build a regular application and then add the decentralized layer. Now you might be thinking, why is it called decentralized? Well, it's called decentralized because it's connecting to some form of decentralized technology. Currently, today, the most popular form of decentralized technology is blockchains. So that's why it's called a decentralized application. But there's a huge variety of dApps that you can create. And I have a whole bunch of examples here. One example that we saw was NFT marketplace or minting. But there's a whole bunch more as well, like a to-do list, for example. A to-do list could be a regular app, but it could also have a decentralized layer. Any website really could have a decentralized layer if you want to add some kind of decentralization to it. A to-do list could be a dApp if you have an application that's storing items to do. But a traditional, just regular website, it would be storing all of those data points in its own database, and what's known as a server would be doing the work of taking your to-do items and storing them. So that way you can come back every day and see what you have to do, and you can add more items and you can remove items. But you could add a decentralized layer or completely replace your traditional setup and instead do all the work through the blockchain, through whatever blockchain you choose, which is usually Ethereum, the most popular one. So this means that all the to-do list items would be stored on a blockchain. And anytime you want to add a new item or you want to remove an item, you would have to do it through Ethereum, which means you would have to sign the transactions with your crypto wallet. And so that would transform your regular to-do list application into a decentralized application because the work is being done through a blockchain. You might be thinking, why would I bother at this point? Why not just keep it a regular app? Well, there's many different benefits to adding a decentralized layer, and we'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow as well when we have our blockchain webinar. But some of the benefits of having a decentralized layer, well, first up, we have the permanence of the blockchain, which means that everything is recorded, every action that you want to store is recorded on the blockchain, and it's very hard to lose data on a blockchain compared to losing data with a traditional app. And traditional just means any regular app that doesn't have a decentralized layer. And so that is one benefit of adding this decentralized layer, is the storage and the permanence of the blockchain. Everything on a blockchain is, number one, linked sequentially, and number two is stored with nodes around the globe. And this makes it very hard to kill a blockchain or to lose data because there's so many copies of it, and because it's linked, all the information is linked sequentially, and because of how the blockchain itself was coded. All of these work together to make it a powerful technology for storing processes, storing what has happened, and being reassured or just trusting the code that data will not be lost. Of course, things do happen on the blockchain, data loss or hacks, but it's at a much smaller rate compared to another regular piece of technology like your regular old server and database. So that's one reason to take a website and to add the help of a blockchain, or to even replace your whole traditional structure and instead do everything over a blockchain like Ethereum. And of course, if you build dApps, you get the benefit of using cryptocurrencies if you want to in your apps. So if you want to do something like accept payments in cryptocurrencies, well, you'd have to add a decentralized layer to do that, because you would have to do that connection with the blockchain to transfer around the cryptocurrencies. So those are a few benefits to adding a decentralized layer to your app. We'll talk about even more benefits tomorrow when we talk more about smart contracts and how they work, which is all about how developers can put things onto the blockchain. Like, how can I put my bank onto the blockchain? How can I put my YouTube videos onto the blockchain? Or build a competitor and the competitor is running and storing the videos on the blockchain. Or how can I build my online shop and store it on the blockchain to allow cryptocurrency transactions? So that is just a few reasons why to add the decentralized layer. So some more examples: passwordless sign-in. So typically when we go to a website, we have to sign in with our account, our email, maybe our phone number. With a decentralized app, you don't have to do that. You could do sign-ins without any passwords. So this makes for much faster sign-in, because you can do sign-ins over the blockchain, which means through a user's cryptocurrency wallet. So instead of signing up for your website with my, for example, email, password, I can sign up through my crypto wallet, which is a browser extension. Okay, let's see. We have some question. All I see is URL. Okay, let's see. I'll go back here. If you guys would like, please let me know what is missing and I will happily share it. I can share a link to the slides. There you go. And a link to the website itself. Okay, if anyone has questions so far, please let me know in the chat and I'll be happy to address. I think maybe I missed a couple questions, but you can also message me afterward. Oh, the screen is not changing. Okay, interesting. I can try. I haven't changed it very much actually, so let's see. I'll just go back and unshare and then share again. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, thank you for letting me know. Must be a strange glitch with Circle. All right, so here, what is a dApp? And yes, I have also dropped a link in the chat to the slides. So if you want, you can look at the slides on your own browser as well. So we talked about passwordless sign-in, smart contract data storage, or business tracking. So for example, if you have some business processes, like if you want to track shipments or track what progress has been made in a project, or what progress has been made with interactions with your customers, you can store all of that over the blockchain. Another example is an online shop with cryptocurrency payments. That would be another example of a dApp. A cryptocurrency exchange or trading bot, a bank, yield farming. So tons of different dApps you can build. You could just build a simple dApp that allows users to just store messages on the blockchain. You could build a video game that tracks every user and what level they're at over the blockchain. And it could allow users to buy NFTs. So if they have the NFT, then they can have the video game object, like a new sword or a clothing item. So any type of app where you're connecting to something on the blockchain. And this something could be some code that you put up or someone else's code that someone else created. You could just be a collector of contracts, which means like your website is just showing users what's on the blockchain, like showing users all of the to-do lists on the blockchain. This is kind of like what OpenSea does. They're a distributor of information. So OpenSea is a website where they're just showing all the NFTs on Ethereum. And that could be your website. You could decide to show information. This makes it accessible for you to get a large audience because all they have to do is just go to their website and they can check out what's been happening on the blockchain. So tons of different dApps that you can create. Okay, glad everyone can see the slides now. And again, check out the link if you want to save them as well. It might be because I played a video and that is what killed the screen sharing. Okay, so decentralized apps. These dApps, another huge benefit to building a dApp is they can operate autonomously through the use of smart contracts, typically. So smart contracts, we'll talk more about tomorrow, but it's just referring to code that lives on the blockchain. This could be code that runs your video game or code that runs your online shop. Whatever process you want to have running on the blockchain to take advantage of the benefits of the blockchain. Any kind of code that runs any piece of software, you could put it onto the blockchain. So this makes for a huge variety of the types of codes or processes that are on the blockchain. Now, these contracts, they operate autonomously, which means there's no supervision or third party. And this helps to establish user trust. So what exactly do I mean? Okay, well, this website here, when the user wants to mint a token, they're not actually talking to me or my website to mint the token. They're not trusting me to create the token. This is different from regular websites. Like when you go to YouTube and you want to watch a video and you click on it, you're trusting YouTube to show you the video. But it's different with a dApp. You're not trusting the company to actually do the work, but instead you're trusting the blockchain. You're somewhat trusting the website to just show you the data or to do the connection to the blockchain, but that's more of a shallow trust. The actual important work is being done on the blockchain. So the creation of the token, it's not done by the website. It's not done by my company. It's done by the blockchain. If YouTube was on the blockchain, then the videos would not be stored or owned by YouTube. YouTube is centralized, so it does own or store the videos. But if YouTube was decentralized, if you created a decentralized YouTube, then the videos would be stored on the blockchain. And when you wanted to post a comment, you would have to post a comment, and the comments would be stored through the blockchain. You'd have to post the comment with your cryptocurrency wallet as signing the transaction instead of your YouTube account. So decentralized websites are much more transparent because everything is publicly available to see on the blockchain. You can't hide any videos that are up there. You could allow users to delete their own videos, sure, but you couldn't actually hide anything on the blockchain if YouTube was on the blockchain. Because that's the whole point of a blockchain, is to be transparent to establish user trust. You know, if I put my online store onto a blockchain, I cannot hide any of the code of my store. So if I have some code that says I'm going to just steal your money and run away, you will see that code. I cannot hide it if it's on the blockchain. This is different from regular sites or regular code or apps where you can have code that you don't show. In fact, like a lot of YouTube, the code behind YouTube, we don't see, it's behind the scenes. And this is different with dApps because all of the work, the deep work of the actual processes like selling you the product, sending you the product, minting the NFT, creating the token, creating the coin, all of that is actually done on the blockchain. So you can see, did it happen? What is going to happen? And who am I interacting with? What is the contract? You can see everything publicly available. And it's just code that you can see on the blockchain. So that's another reason to use smart contracts to create dApps, to have this transparent application. And these all happen autonomously. So anything on the blockchain, it runs without supervision. These systems, they run autonomously. And this also helps establish user trust. Like when the user mints, the minting is done immediately if the transaction is found to be valid by the blockchain. It happens immediately, and it happens without any supervision. I cannot go into the blockchain and say, actually, don't let them mint. I don't like them. I can't do that because once I published my code on the blockchain, it's there permanently. I couldn't do another contract and link my website to another contract, but you can never actually change the contract itself. And so this helps establish trust. And all of the actions, they happen without the company's supervision. So if I want to watch a video or upload a video and it's a decentralized application, then when I upload a video, it would be uploaded to the blockchain by the blockchain itself. There would be no intermediary that could stop me from interacting with the contract. And you can see all the code behind what will happen. So if I decide that I want to interact with your dApp, I can see exactly what I'm interacting with. So I can go to the blockchain and I can check, is this website actually going to mint the token? Will it really do that? You can go and you can see the code, whereas you cannot do that with regular apps. Albert's asking, can we leverage or WordPress sites, or do we have to build everything from scratch? You can leverage other sites, yes. So WordPress, you'd have to find an API or a plugin or build a connection from scratch to the blockchain. But yes, you can leverage existing sites or site builders like WordPress. You would have to have some way to do the connection. So you'd have to find or create something like a plugin for WordPress specifically. So I haven't built any dApps on WordPress, but I suspect that there are plugins already, or at least APIs that you can use. Great question from Albert. Okay, so dApps, we talked about some benefits, some examples. If you want to hear more about smart contracts, then come back tomorrow because we'll talk more about that. It's all about how do these things run on the blockchain. So in this course, we're not actually building anything on the blockchain. We're just building the websites that communicate with what's on the blockchain. But in our blockchain programming course, which also runs in the spring, I can drop a link to that. Blockchain programming, we actually build the smart contracts. So two different sides to the whole blockchain industry. The two sides can work together. If you're building your own startup, you're probably going to have both sides where you're doing the Web3 and you're doing the blockchain. Now, when we talk about Web3, let's break down what that means as our final topic tonight. Web3 is just referring to the next phase of the internet that makes use of changes like decentralization. So back in the 80s, we began with Web 1.0, where there were not many developers, not many visitors, or not many websites. By the year 2000, we entered the phase Web 2.0, which is our current phase. And with Web 2.0, there's a lot more websites, programmers, visitors, a lot more data being generated, mostly through, of course, social media websites. And the whole point of Web3 is to enter this next phase of the internet where you're addressing some of the issues of Web 2. Some issues such as the hacks, identity thefts, and lack of data ownership, as well as, massive monopolies by few companies, very centralized entities where these large companies have a lot of power over the web. And this even bleeds into, other aspects of life, other than just the web, like affecting politics and economies, much more, of course. So the whole point of Web3 is to use new tactics for developing websites to improve the web. And one huge way, the primary way right now, is through decentralization. So it's the number one way currently that we see this next phase of the web, different ways that websites are built. So if you're already a web developer, it's very important to get into Web3 and look to the future of what will websites look like in the future. Because currently we're still in Web 2, but we are slowly transitioning as we get more and more tools like blockchains, Web3 libraries, decentralized apps, building decentralized apps on WordPress, more and more of these, more and more adoption of these new technologies for the web. So that is Web 3. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of dApps and Web 3. Yes, please feel free to ask a question. Go ahead and drop it in the chat. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Next up, we're going to talk about how you can enroll in the course and the curriculum. So this is the course page. You can find it at lumiwealth.com. I'll drop a link to the course page. You can read more about the course and why we created it about a year ago now. And this course is supersized. It is 10 weeks long. Normally, our courses are 8 weeks, but this course has 2 extra bonus weeks. We begin by learning how to just build a regular app, and then by week 2, week 3, we already are building our first dApp. So this is a very project-based course, very hands-on, because that is the best way to learn, is to build out a portfolio. So week 4, we build out our first complete dApp together. By week 5, 6, we start building more complex dApps with React. So we have to learn React, and then we can get into building dApps like NFT minting, to-do list, and much more with React. Talk about where you can go from here, how you can keep building and meet your goals, whether that's a project, a startup, an advancement, a promotion, or a job as a Web3 developer. Whatever your goals are, we will teach you how you can keep learning on your own, even when you're done the 10 weeks. How can you still build your portfolio? How can you still prepare for the interview? How can you still move to new blockchains? And just keep learning, keep growing. And there are 3 different options for signing up. The first option is self-directed option, where you learn on your own. The second option is live classes, where you learn together with us every week, and you can ask questions, we can solve problems, you can screen share, you can debug. We cover all the topics together live. And the third option is live classes plus extra help, like extra tutoring or extra help building your own project. Like if you need some debugging or need to build a feature, then that is the option for you. We also have payment plans. If you don't want to pay all at once, you can pay with a plan over time. just select one of these options and you can add the course to your cart. So this course begins on March 8th. So springtime, spring semester, and the effort varies depending on your course goals. If you want to just watch, you can just watch the course. But if you want to do the extra challenges, do the homework, build your portfolio, then it will take more effort. It also depends on how much experience you have. If you are experienced, you'll find it easier to get started and build projects faster and build more advanced projects. But if you're a beginner, you're going to start with simpler projects with fewer features. And the schedule is every Wednesday. Just like tonight, we meet every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 p.m. Pacific. And we meet live over Zoom. We also have a special coupon code to save 20% off. And let's see, okay, that ended February, but you can still try it. Reach out for us if you want more information, more coupons you might have, although that was the biggest early bird one. If you have two courses that you buy at the same time, I know you can save 10% off immediately that way. And the course is 10 weeks total. There will be a holiday break at the end of March. But other than that, the course is 10 weeks live. And we already have videos you can watch because we did do semesters of this already. So you are a lifetime student, which means you get all the courses or all the videos we've done before and all the videos we do in the future. So it's not just one semester like university, but at Lumiwealth, you actually get all of our semesters. So you get the whole time that we've ever taught this course. So that way you can actually start preparing today. If you buy the course today, you can get immediate access to the library and you can start preparing for when we meet live in March for the official semester launch. So you can select the course and that will take you to the cart. And here you have your cart. You can apply any coupons. If you add an extra course to the cart, which you can add from any page, you can leave the cart and the cart will be preserved. Immediately you'll get 10% off and then you can proceed to checkout. At the checkout, you can choose if you want to pay with a payment plan or not. So if you want, you can just click to pay with a payment plan. So you can pay over time instead of all at once. And just like that, you can place the order and you'll immediately get access to our library. So place your order and you can watch and start fiddling around with the projects and the code that we already have available for you. So I'm very excited to come back for another semester of Web3. We had a lot of fun in our last semesters, so I'm very glad that we decided to bring it back for the spring. All right. Any questions from it or about the course or anything really at all? I'd be happy to chat. We also do have availabilities for booking a call right here. If you want to talk to us on the phone, one-on-one, then please reach out and just book a call. You can book it through our calendar right here. So quite available this week. Just pick a time and you will be reserved for a 20-minute call if you want to ask questions like that. Otherwise, you can also message us anytime on Circle. You can also email us. I'll drop our team, Alicia, at lumiwealth.com. You can email us with any inquiries as well anytime. We're always happy to chat, no matter how small or large of a question. We're here to help you answer them all. Otherwise, you've been a great crowd, everyone. Thank you for informing me about the whole video thing. I'll make sure to keep in mind the screen sharing of the video can cause a glitch. So keep that in mind for next time. Please join me tomorrow. We will have another webinar on the blockchain side of things. So if you liked tonight, then you have to come back tomorrow. It'll be equally as fascinating. We're going to dive more into the blockchain side. This is like the front end, the visual audience side. Tomorrow is more about the back end, the developer, the blockchain side of things. But the two work together. for many, many projects. Especially as a dApp developer, you should have at least a base understanding of how smart contracts work. So come back tomorrow. If no one has any questions, then, well, I hope everything has been clear. And that's fine. I hope to see you tomorrow or in the spring, March 8th. Write that down. That is when we begin Web3. So March 8th. Hope to see you. You can also message me anytime. Happy to chat online. Thank you for being a great crowd, everyone, and I'll see you next time.